everyone, welcome to day 24 of the How Not to Die challenge. So we are going to make a recipe out of his cookbook that is called Yellow Rice and Black Beans with Broccoli. Super easy looking recipe, but I am going to tell you what he wants you to do, and then I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do, because it's not the same, because I don't have much success making brown rice on the stove, like ever. So I'm just not even going to try anymore. So basically, he wants you to heat a couple tablespoons of water on the stove, and then you're going to cook one large shallot that you've minced. We've talked about shallots before, and a teaspoon of fresh minced ginger. You want to cook that for about a minute, and then you're going to stir in some of your other ingredients, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And then after you've got the spices in there, you want to put in your broth and bring it to a boil, and then put in your rice with the broth. Put rice and broth in there, mix it up, bring it to a boil, then turn it down and cook it and simmer it for 35 to 40 minutes. Then after that, you stir in the broccoli and a little more broth if you need to. Cook for a little bit longer till the broccoli's done, and then stir in your beans and serve it hot. Okay, so that's what you're supposed to do if you're following the instructions. So I am actually going to not do that exactly, but I'm still making a very similar meal. I've already got rice cooked in the Instant Pot and it's still hot. It is so much easier to make brown rice in the Instant Pot, so that's what I do. So 2 cups of brown rice, 2.5 cups of water, 22 minutes on manual pressure. Let it do its own release unless you need it quicker, and then just release it, that's fine. But you can just let it go and do its own release. So I did that. So one of the main differences is I'm not going to use a shallot, because I'm not going to take another pot out and stir fry it on the stove or anything like that. So I'm going to put a little bit of onion powder sprinkled across the top of my rice, and that's going to account for my onion. Doesn't really count for a shallot, but that's what we're gonna do. So there is some onion powder. That will taste wonderful. Then, next thing. Supposed to use 1 teaspoon of fresh minced ginger in with that shallot to begin with. I don't have fresh ginger. I do have some ground ginger, so I'm going to use 1/4 teaspoon of this. That sounds okay to use amount-wise. I think that should be fine. I can't get it open. There we go. So 1/4 teaspoon is going to go into our rice mixture. And then I'm going to go ahead at this point and stir in. I've got 1 cup of broth. So I'm going to stir in the 1 cup of broth into the rice that's already cooked, so this will be fine. And then I'm going to put in all the rest of the seasoning. So it calls for 2 teaspoons of miso, 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, 1/4 teaspoon of ground ginger. No, we already did that. 1/4 teaspoon of ground turmeric. Sorry, that's what it was, turmeric. Half teaspoon of ground coriander, 1/4 teaspoon of ground cumin, and 1/8 teaspoon of cayenne. So I am not going to put in the cayenne pepper because, no, that would be spicy. And I will actually I'll put in the 1/4 teaspoon of cumin and the half teaspoon of coriander and see what happens. I'm not 100% sure about that flavor-wise, but we'll go ahead and give it a try. So this is my last container of unsalted broth, so I need to get some more broth. So I'm going to do that, and then mix that up really well and turn my Instant Pot back on and let it come to a simmer. You can push pretty much any of the buttons on here and it will bring it up to a simmer. So I'm just going to probably push the poultry or the beans and chili button. It doesn't matter, whatever. Actually, this is one of the newer ones, so it has a saute button on it, so I'll just use the saute button, but my older one doesn't have a saute button, so any of the other buttons you push will turn it into saute mode. So I'm going to do that. What you would have done is after you put the spices in, you would have put 2.5 cups of veggie broth in there and 1 cup of rice. And it says long grain, it doesn't matter, red, brown, black, whatever you wanted to do. So that's what you would do up until that step, and then you would let it cook on the stove for like 40 minutes, and then you would continue with putting in like the broccoli and that kind of stuff. So I'm going to get all my spices put in here and get it started warming back up and getting the water mixed, or the broth mixed into all of the spices. And I will be back with you guys in a few minutes. Oh, let's talk about this real quick. I am putting the can of black beans in that it calls for, but instead of broccoli, I'm going to use peas. I like peas and rice. That sounds yummy to me. And I have a salad that has broccoli in it. So I don't need the cruciferous. I already have the cruciferous taken care of for today, so I'm just going with a vegetable. So that's what I'm going to do. and I will be back with you guys in just a couple minutes to show you what it is that I've got going on. If you had wanted to use broccoli, it says to use 3 cups of small broccoli florets, and that's what you would cook in there for the last 10 minutes to get them nice and tender. So I'll be back in just a minute. All right, guys, that didn't take hardly any time at all. Just put some spices in the rice and put the beans and the peas in there, and I've got voila, this really pretty dish that it's very attractive looking and it's very tasty. So here's the deal. If you like cumin and you like ginger flavors, I think you'll really like this. This would be probably right up your alley, because this is really and truly, when I taste this is a lot of what comes across to me is I taste the ginger and I taste the cumin. Neither of those spices am I a huge fan of, to be honest with you. However, this isn't bad. I especially like it with the peas because the peas are kind of sweet. Yeah, those are yummy. So you should definitely give this a try if those are flavors that you like. It was, like I said, really easy. Just let the Instant Pot do the work for the rice, and then just put your spices in the top with the when I put the 1 cup of the veggie broth in there, it just like soaked it right up as I turned it on, and it became super, super creamy, which is really neat. It's kind of yummy. What is that called? Do you remember what that's called? When I make it and you put it on the stove and you put a bunch of liquid in it and you stir it and it becomes like that porridgey stuff. Shoot, I don't remember what it's called. I'll put the name on it right here for you. But anyways, it's like a dish that I make that you put vegetables in the rice and you put a lot of liquid in it after the rice is already cooked, and it becomes very, very, very porridgey like. It's actually super, super good. This reminds me of that. Different flavor, obviously, but it's very good. So that's it. This was pretty easy. This wasn't too tough at all. You guys could totally get this done. And if you're any good at making brown rice on the stove, you should just go for it on the stove. Just make it all in one pot on the stove. But like I said, it's not going to happen for me. So anyways, that's it. I'm going to take some grapes with me. I've got a big, huge salad with me, so I've got lots and lots of things taken care of. And that's all I have for today. So I will talk to you guys again later. All right, guys, so I am home from work. I ate about half of my salad, and I didn't get a chance to eat my grapes because they were not very good at all. And I ate my rice, which was really good. That was very tasty. I enjoyed that quite a bit, actually. So I stopped at the store last night and found that it must be fall season, because now the date rolls that they've got the pumpkin pie spiced ones back. I'm super excited. So this has dates, pecans, pumpkin pie spice, which is cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, and allspice. If you guys can find these, they're kind of expensive. This was like $7.99 for these cute little things, but they are so good, especially if you like pumpkin pie. If you like pumpkin pie, you will love these. These are super, super yummy. They're very strong, but they're very, very good. So I am going to go find something for breakfast, and I'm going to have one of these because I can, and they're delicious and amazing. And I have a little 9-year-old down here going, so apparently I'm sharing these with him, which is totally fine. And then I am going to make tonight either a soup, or I've got 2 recipes that I'm trying to decide which one I want to make. I'm not sure yet. So anyway, we'll make something for supper tonight. It'll be fun and exciting. So I will see you guys again later for tomorrow, and hope you have a good one.